Morning, Louis. How are you doing?
Morning, Andrew. I'm very well, thanks.
Splendid. So you're not wearing your Christmas jumper, I see, but I am. What have you got wearing? Is that a Christmas jumper? No.
This is not a Christmas jumper.
Well, I know you're not very festive. I'll make up for us both. Splendid. Bless it. So this is our third video, I think, about immigration law, where you're going to teach me, who's an idiot when it comes to matters of immigration law, because it blows my mind how complicated it is. And it really ought not to be, but it certainly is. You're going to speak to me and anyone watching to explain these quite complicated terms and concepts in simple language. That's the deal, right?
Yes, it's educating Andrew.
Educating Andrew, indeed. And today's video is all going to be about this golden era that Louis McWilliam foresees for people coming to the UK, which I think is a bizarre choice of topic, because surely with Brexit, surely it's going to be more difficult to move to Europe, to the UK. That's the idea of surely Brexit. But you're telling me otherwise. Go on, Louis. Am I right or are you right?
So there is one massive caveat, is that we're talking specifically about non-EU nationals.
Sorry, forgive me, yes.
Okay. Because there's a very, very different picture if you're from the EU. But so talking about non-EU nationals, I think there's generally speaking, a fairly strong argument to say that we have entered, as of the 1st of December, something which may be looked back at as a bit of a golden era. So I can tell you a bit more about why I think that.
Okay, tell me. I thought Brexit was, sort of 4 weeks away from now, and that was the golden era. But you think it's the 1st of December because no one's talking about it. We're talking about V-Day for Vaccination Day, but no one's saying that golden era of immigration law started on the 1st of December. But you know better than anyone else, so do explain.
Yeah, so there's a slight mismatch in dates. So you have the end of free movement, which ends on 31st of December. But to counteract that, the Home Office has introduced these reforms which affect everyone else. Well, it will also include EU nationals, but also including non-EU nationals. But this is taking effect from the 1st of December, so it's already come into effect. And these are liberalising measures for non-EU nationals. So the big caveat, like I've said, is that for EU nationals, they're now in the same position as non-EU nationals and will generally need to be sponsored. However, so from a non-EU nationals perspective, it is going to get significantly better, or they'll have increased chances to come to the UK. And from an employer's point of view, it'll be easier for employers to recruit non-EU nationals going forward.
That's not the Brexit I was aware of.
Yeah, no, it's funny, isn't it? We don't hear too much about that, but there's obviously some kind of payoff with the loss of free movement, which is enormous. So at the moment, I think it's about 1/3 of migration is from the EU, 2/3 from outside the EU. So we're going to have this, presumably, a fairly sudden stop or great reduction in EU nationals coming here. But they've kind of being the Home Office has offset that with making it much easier for EU nationals, non-EU nationals. So the way it works, I mean, I've been doing immigration for about 12 years, but speaking particularly to other practitioners who've been doing this since kind of mid-80s, they say it goes in cycles. So you'll have things get really, really, really tight, like it has been doing for most people, for most non-EU nationals. So they have stuff like this. You remember the British Jobs for British People? I mean, I know that's been around for a while, isn't it?
That was a Gordon Brown thing, wasn't it?
I think that sounds about right, yeah. And that actually, so all these kind of slogans quite often manifest themselves in immigration law. So what we had, the manifestation of that was something called the resident labour market test, where employers had to advertise first to settled workers, so really British people or EU nationals. They had to advertise to them first for 28 days in 2 mediums. Go through this ridiculous so-called recruitment exercise before you could appoint the person you actually wanted, who's from outside the EU. So you had stuff like that. You had caps on the numbers of people who could come here. So it was only 20,000 a year that could come from outside the EU who are outside the UK at the time. So both of those two, well, the resident labour market test just been abolished as of 1st of December. And then we have the cap has been suspended, so there's no limit on the numbers that can come here. So there's two fairly significant changes, and there's other stuff on top of that as well, just making it easier to sponsor generally. So,
which particular sectors do you think will benefit?
The other big change is that until now it had been highly skilled jobs that are classified as degree level or above. As of 1st of December, it's reducing to A level. So example I sometimes give here is that chefs can now be sponsored. So you might have the restaurant industry, so particularly restaurants specializing in certain cuisines from different countries, they will in theory be able to bring over specialist chefs from overseas. So they're kind of less strictly highly skilled or recognized as being highly skilled. They may benefit or will benefit from this.
As will all our diet staff.
But yes, it depends from which country the food is from, I guess.
A bit of echo, so apologies to any of the watchers or listeners to this video. So the goals and areas here, so therefore I guess you're seeing an uptake in instructions to you for immigration advice, is that right?
Yes, we're getting quite a lot of people asking about sponsor licenses in order to sponsor people going forwards. So I think particularly because in the future, if you want to hire someone from France, you're going to need a sponsor license. So that's a big change. We are getting a lot of inquiries. I imagine it's going to get, we're going to get many more once it really hits home, because I feel like we've had a kind of all these false starts about Brexit. So we had the kind of official Brexit 2 years ago, if you like. But then nothing really changed in terms of immigration, or maybe generally nothing really changed because we had this transition period. So people got quite kind of excited or / concerned about how this is going to affect their business, and they kind of find out nothing really changed. And now it is actually going to change. But maybe think people have got a slight kind of bored of the whole thing and kind of stopped taking it seriously. So I think some businesses are going to be in for a bit of a surprise when they realise that, you know, they're not going to be able to recruit from the EU in the way they used to be able to.
So if you're right that immigration law goes in cycles, and this is a moment, if you say, is great liberalisation, well then, you know, as night follows day, there should be a great it should become much stricter at this period of time. So is your advice then to people wanting to move here and employers wanting to bring people in, now is your time, now go hire like crazy, because it will become more complicated in due course?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, just going back to the historical side, what will happen is, so Brexit will, you know, the final Brexit will presumably happen. And then I think they're kind of getting a bit political here, but the right wing will be satiated for a while. Okay, so they're happy that, you know, they've got what they wanted really, in terms of immigration. But then I think the numbers will start to go up because most immigrants and most migrants are coming from outside the EU anyway. So actually, the Brexit effect might not be massive, but these kind of liberalising effects are going to make it much easier for non-EU nationals to come. So what will happen, and this is what's happened before, is there'll be some kind of outcry to do with, quote, numbers. New measures will be introduced, making it much harder. So, and they'll probably build up over time, and they'll build up and build up, you know, and it might be a 10-year cycle. It might be quite a long cycle we're looking at here. But eventually there'll be some kind of breaking point where people realize we've gone too far, and then it'll be liberalized again. So yeah, I think it is a good time, whether you're the employer or whether you're the individual looking to come to the UK, it appears to be a good time if you're from outside the EU. I had one caveat, maybe I could add to that.
Please do.
Two caveats, because I've already had the caveat about the EU nationals, but there has been a big focus. It's all about the skilled worker at the moment. So skilled work is good. They don't really care about other people. So we still have this really strict regime if you're coming as a family member of someone. So in particular, if you're a spouse or unmarried partner, you have to satisfy these really strict rules, including the requirement to be earning 18,600 or to have £62,500 in savings, which is ruling out large portions of population. You know, particularly outside London, it's 18,600 still a fairly high cut-off point to have. So we still have these really harsh rules for many other categories. So they are not benefiting from these new changes. So just sound a note of caution there.
Are there anything that you can do as the advisor, other than try and get some assets together, try and find a better paying job? Is there anything else that you'd advise?
They are good points. Yeah, I mean, the stuff like if you're lucky enough to be able to be gifted money, you need to have, towards savings, you need to have that in your account for 6 months. So get on that. You need to be in employment for 6 months, generally speaking. So if you can, if there's some kind of way of increasing your income, maybe taking a job that's not ideal, but you can just stomach it for 6 months to get yourself over that line, then there may be some things to work towards.
Could you have 2 jobs?
That's fine. Yeah.
Splendid. Louis, is there any other points that we've missed to educate me on this golden era?
I think that's it. I think we've covered this one for now. But yeah, golden era for many, not for everyone. I think that's how I'd conclude it.
For the many, not the few. Sounds political already. Thank you, Louis. I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Cheers, Andrew.